Thank you so much for being with us today. I know you enjoy Lucie Arnaz. I absolutely love her, and she is the most magnificent performer. You're just going to love her show. Do me a favor and subscribe to this podcast. It would mean a lot to me. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. My guest today is Lucie Arnaz, like I told you. She's my friend from Connecticut. We met, I'll tell you that in a little bit, but she's an incredibly wonderful person, has always been very supportive of me and my friends and my work and everybody that she knows. And I'm really grateful to have her here today. Welcome, Lucie.
Thank you very much, Tonja. It's good to
You're
see you.
welcome. You too. You
Hi.
too. You look so good. It's been so long.
It has. I'm sorry about that. We
I know.
switched
I knew
hosts
you
on
moved
you.
here. I knew you moved out here when I still lived there. And
Yeah.
when Ed passed away, I didn't know what to do with myself. And I really didn't. It was really pretty awful. More awful
Yeah.
than I can say. So we were going to retire here, so I brought my children out here and I thought we'd go right to work, and then the pandemic hit. So I was locked in a house. I bought a house, but I was locked in a place for 2 years. So it's been hard to sort of get back in the groove, and I didn't know how to reach you. So I'm really, really, really grateful that we figured this
Now
out.
here we are, 20 minutes from each other,
I
probably doing,
know.
doing a Zoom meeting.
I know. What's so funny is I have a studio that I use, but it's in Malibu. Who wants to drive all the way there?
Well, I could go to Malibu easy right
Well,
now when it's
next time,
117
yeah,
down
I
here.
know. Next time, let's bring both of you and we'll
That
go all
sounds like a
weekend.
good idea,
I
actually. I could
know.
live in your studio while
I use
you are
Lori Corbin's studio,
here.
and I found her through LinkedIn. She was an
Okay.
ABC correspondent. She's just amazing. She's a health and wellness expert, and
Uh-huh.
and that's what she started out as, doing it for the news, like all kinds of natural stuff. So while I
Yeah.
was there, she made the most fantastic lunch, and the view is of the whole Pacific Ocean. And it's just like really, really nice, really nice. 3 cameras. It's very nice. So I'd love to do that with y'all
Cool
sometime.
that you're doing this. I think this is fun for you. I love that
It
you have
is.
this platform. That's great.
Well, it is fun. It is fun. I don't think, I mean, it's for charity right now. I mean, I don't
We're,
suppose
we're all doing missionary work.
we're doing a lot for charity. I know. But anyway, so I know that your Latin Roots CD was fantastic. I listened to it until it like broke. Um, I just love that music,
Me too.
and it makes me feel really warm inside when I hear that, because I know that your dad had such an influence on you in that type of music, but you found your own voice. And you found your own voice in every area. So many people talk to you about your parents, and I understand why. But if I were you, I'd want to talk about myself.
It's
Because
a
you're so
conundrum.
accomplished and you're so talented and you've done so many incredible things. It wouldn't matter who your parents were. It was nice to get a start that way, but my God.
Yeah. I mean, it is funny when I think about it because they had every right to be famous for 75 years, every right to still be out there in the public's eye and beloved after what they accomplished. So I think that's fantastic. And I've been doing what I do for, almost 55.
Right.
And
So
it
you
is,
have every right to be famous for
well,
what you've done.
I get it. It's just like no matter what you do, the mountain below Everest is never going to get, the same amount of sunshine. And
Yeah,
it is what it is. I love what I do. I don't compare myself or say, how come please,
I know.
please.
That
Like
wouldn't be you.
that's
That's not your
apples
character.
and oranges,
Yeah, it's your
It is
character.
what it is. I do what I do.
Yeah, I wish I could have seen you at Feinstein's. I looked at that online. It was so incredible.
Well, there's so many Feinsteins now. There was Feinsteins, at Vitello's out in Los Angeles for about an hour.
I
They
didn't know
tried to
that.
have a Feinsteins there, and that it didn't last. They had to close it. It didn't work. I mean, it was lovely, and
How
I've
can
been.
it not work?
I don't know. Los Angeles is really rough for clubs right now. The only one that's really working, of the larger size clubs, where you can have over 100 people, is Catalina Jazz, which I'm going to play in
You're going to
October.
be there in October. I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
23rd,
got 22nd, 23rd.
22nd and 23rd, rather.
Yeah,
22nd, 23rd,
I've got it
Benjamin.
written down for you.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to that because I've not played that room yet. But other than that, they've tried, Feinstein's, it's the Roosevelt, there was the Cinegrill, there was, all
Really?
kinds of, you just can't. It's an early morning town, is my take on it, that people are doing television and movies primarily, not a lot of theaters respected there per se. So people get up really early to do that job, as you know. When we do our film work, when we do our television work, you usually get in there pretty early in the morning, unless doing a 3-camera show, you get a little more time, right?
There used to be clubs.
There used to be, but I just don't think they don't get supported as much anymore. It's just tough. It's tough in life.
Gardenia. Did you ever play the
Gardenia, but that's teeny, you
It
can't,
was teeny. Yeah, you can't do
that's
that.
true cabaret, like, piano, and you stand there and talk about the history. It's Andrea Marcovici,
Yeah.
do the history of this song. And that's not really what I do. So I
No.
kind of need a theater or a little bit larger space. And there's that
Well, McCallum is made
scene.
for you.
Well, the McCallum is a huge, big Broadway house, and you do your bigger shows there.
Mhm.
But like a room in New York, there's plenty of these rooms.
I
There's
know.
Birdland, and there's 54 Below, where I'm going next week, and there's, the Metropolitan Room, and it just goes on in New York. And Feinstein's has a beautiful new club in Indiana, in Carmel, Indiana.
They do?
Beautiful new club.
He
Yeah,
does? He
it's
does.
gorgeous, gorgeous.
He used to
Yeah,
play at La Mondrian and I replaced
yeah,
him.
yeah.
He left La Mondrian and I went in there during it was silly. It was a showcase night. And I went in there and somebody asked me if I would sing with the piano player. And I needed a job. I was in between jobs. And it was like in the 80s.
And it was Michael Feinstein was the piano player.
He had left. He
Oh,
had left. So they were looking
okay.
for
Somebody else was there.
new
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went up to the piano. I sang with the pianist, and then when I was finished, I sat back down, and I just happened to sit next to the guy that managed the place. Didn't know it, and he said, "You guys are really good together." And I said, "Oh, thank you." He said, "What do you do?" He goes, "I'm the manager." And I was like, "Oh, are you happy with your entertainment?" And he goes, "Well, it could always be a little better." And I said, "Oh." He goes, "Why? Do you have a group?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I work with this guy." Totally lied. Totally.
Oh, bless you.
Chris, do you have a whole night's worth of music? I've got 4
Oh,
hours.
sure.
Yeah,
Can
sure.
I roller skate? Remember that from Fayetteville?
It's scuba dive.
Can I roller skate? Cut to, she's flying
So
into
we
it.
worked there every single night. We went to him.
Wow,
I
look
went
at
up to him.
you.
I went up to him and I told him, I said, "We got a job." Because what's your name again? And I went to his house and we worked for 4 days straight. We really did.
That's funny.
It was a riot and we worked there a long time. And then there were people that lived in the hotel. I've got all kinds of stories about those people. The guy,
Wow.
the guy from Whitesnake, David Coverdale lived there. He cut
Uh-huh.
one girl at 7 and another girl at 9. It was a riot. And then there was the guy that owned New York Seltzer lived there. That was like a really good little bottled water company before they had flavored
Mm-hmm.
bottled water companies.
Mm-hmm.
He must own a state by now. But it was a fun group of people. It was really fun. It was right on Sunset right there. So it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I love doing the big rooms. I love playing with the big audio, big orchestras and stuff. But there's something kind of wonderful about putting yourself on the line with just one amazing, if you can find the most amazing accompanists, like Ron Abel, like Ted Firth, like Billy
Oh,
Stritch, like those guys, like Michael Orland,
yeah.
um, there, Todd Schroeder. There's a handful. They're not a lot, but they're, if you look, Alex Rybeck, the luckiest of the performers get these guys, and Michelle Browerman, not a guy, girl,
Oh, I've never heard her. I'd like to.
Oh, Michelle is wonderful backup. She plays with Amanda McBroom a lot,
Oh,
almost
I
all.
love her work. I love
And
her
she
song.
also writes beautiful music, great music, fun stuff too. I do some
Yeah.
of it in my show.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like the tightrope walk of just you and the piano,
I do too.
with the audience right there. And I used to hate it. When I first started, I started with 4 pieces and then went straight to 10 and then went to Vegas, so I didn't ever
Wow.
really like cabaret. And there was 7 years in before I got an offer to play a small room. And that room was Rainbow and Stars, if you remember, at the
Oh, of
top
course.
of Rockefeller Plaza.
My favorite. I love it up there.
Just
I love it.
spectacular,
Yeah.
old New York kind of supper
Yeah.
club.
My
You
first
know,
big date with my husband was there.
there you go.
The
Well,
Rainbow.
I finally got an offer. I got an offer to play there, and I was petrified because the people are like right in front
Right
of
in
you.
your
They're
face.
eating a steak while you're in there, right? They could get grease on your
They,
dress.
if they
You're
sneeze,
so,
if they excuse, what's
you're
your
so close. Yeah. And I thought, oh God, this is going to be so hard. And we put together a whole different kind of a show that would work with piano, bass, and drums. And it was terrifying. And I immediately decided that it was the most fun I ever had because you just go into that monster. The monster's right there with his mouth open. You can't look at it behind a dark wall. It's right there. And it was fabulous. And so ever since then, I'm just open for whatever. It can be a piano, it could be a trio, it could be 9 pieces or 60-piece symphony. I just love it.
I like the connection with the audience.
Yeah, it's all what I started doing when I was on television. We had a live audience. When I
Yeah, I
went into
know.
theater, it was because I loved working live, having a live
Yeah.
audience. So I'm basically doing the same thing, telling stories, but with songs instead of, characters that were written out in scripts. But every song, every lyric is a character,
Yeah. Yeah.
always playing something, that. And
You do it
so
right. It's true. That's true.
I love it. Yeah.
I do too. I love coming to hear you. So I'll be coming to LA. I'll
Oh,
come to that
good. Please
show.
do.
I'll
Yes.
come to that show.
That'd be great.
And I'll be so happy to be here in October.
Yes.
'Cause
Oh.
now it's 123 degrees, as you know.
Well, October could be a little toasty too, but
Not
it's
like this.
been getting
This
hotter.
look.
Well, every year. I looked it up yesterday, actually. I looked it up. I went online just out of curiosity because you can actually do that. You can put in a date and say, what was the temperature on this date in that year? And I looked up that the beginning of July, the middle of July, middle of August, September, October, and I went from 2013, when I was here first, to now. And it has gradually crept up like a degree or two ever since. It's
Really?
never gone down. So don't
Well,
tell me there's no global warming. Don't tell
yeah.
me we're in trouble with the
But
climate.
Dallas Rains was on last night, and I just have to ask, do you remember, were you out here when Dallas Rains was out here like 100 years ago? I should say 100. But in the 70s, Dallas Rains was the weather guy. When I lived here in the
I don't
80s,
know that. No.
he was the weather guy. He's
Hmm.
still the weather guy.
Oh, wow.
And he looks fabulous. And he does his, you have to watch, he's on like ABC or one of the main ones.
Okay.
And he does, when he does everything standing up like they all do, but he's sort of like looks like he's surfing, like when he's it's so cute. You have to watch him, you'll laugh.
That's cute. It's funny. I watch Patrick Evans on KESQ, here locally, and I adore
Yeah.
Patrick. He's really great. And he has that Eye on the Desert show. And we love Patrick.
Yeah, this is in
With
LA.
our phones, we can just look at the weather right there on the phone. We
You
can look
don't
at
need
what's
to
coming
watch
up.
anything.
You can do a deep dive into the following week. You can see a 10-day
Yeah.
forecast of whatever
But he
city
said it
you're
was
going to.
he said it was 103 yesterday in 1959, which
Wow.
surprised me. Surprised him too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good news. I mean, they do say it's cyclical, but it's cyclical, and each time it cycles back every 100 years or whatever it is, it cycles a little higher.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
probably
mean?
so.
Like now it's a little higher.
Yeah.
And I think we have 10 years left before we are all going to just melt and there'll be no place comfortable. It'll be too cold when it's cold and too hot when it's hot, and the beaches are going to erode. I have a house on the beach in Baja, and I can tell what's happening already. It's very
Really?
sad because I have a gazebo that sits right on the water, and it almost is gone every night when the high tide comes in.
Oh my God.
So 5 more years, maybe tops, before it starts to eat the house. I just know it. And was in Hawaii not long ago on Waikiki, and I used to go there almost every other year when I was a kid. And I said to the waiter who came to serve us on the beach, and I said, I haven't been to this beach in forever. Maybe because I was little, it looks so much smaller. I remember Waikiki Beach being so wide. And he said,
Why? Yeah.
they said they lost 15 feet in the last 10 years, and that was already 7 years ago. He said, we lost
Wow.
15 feet of the ocean front because of
Wow.
it's
How
already
about
creeping up.
that? How about that?
So,
Baja, huh?
Baja.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Did you go
But
to Mexico as a kid? Did you go to Mexico when you were young?
no, no, my father used to love to fish down there. And in the 60s, he decided that this place he loved to go to, that a friend of his owned, he wanted to spend more time there. And so the fellow, Rod Rodriguez, gave him a plot of land at the end of the little hotel-y club. And he
Oh,
built this gorgeous Moorish style house.
oh, how
And
cool.
and he had it, and he lived down there a lot until he passed away. And then my brother Desi and I keep it up, and we go
Oh, well, that's so
as
nice.
often as we can. Now I'm a little closer, so it's a bit easier, and
Yeah,
I
I
can go
know a
down
girl that
there.
moved there from up here, and she really likes living there.
Yeah, I mean, there's not, it's in the middle of nowhere. There's no shopping, no restaurants, because it all takes place right in your house or at the little club room. It's
Yeah,
very private where we are, but there's a lot of beautiful places in Mexico.
I know. I used to go to
San Miguel de
Cancun.
Allende is beautiful. A lot of people, a lot of expats go there, and
We used to go.
you
I
know,
know a lot of people move there. San something. San. There's some place. San
San
something.
Miguel de Allende.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody
Name of
moves
it.
there, but it's not on the water.
No, it's not on the water, but you
Yeah,
can
but
get there.
I've been looking at all these places. If it gets too much
No,
good,
you're laughing. I'm watching the news, and I'm thinking, okay, if
Portugal's nice this time of year.
the worst happens, and I hope all you people know what that is,
Yeah, yeah,
where are we going to live? But I
yeah.
have kids and grandchildren, and
I
what am I
know,
going to
me
pick them all
too.
up and move them to Tuscany? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. I love Tuscany.
Yeah, you
Bella
don't
loves
speak
Italy.
Italian yet, but it can be done.
That's right. That's right. So,
Google.
so I was looking at all the things on YouTube because I interviewed you for my radio show back home. And I was like, well, I don't want to do the same interview again. I was talking about the jazz singer and they're
Right.
playing our song and all your incredible awards and nominations and all the things that you've done. But one thing we haven't talked about is the charity work and the legend work that you've done for your parents. And then this editing of this book that you've just done with Larry. And Larry
Mm,
Luckenbill is her husband, is your husband. And
yeah.
I had a show that I did where I got to interview Larry, and he was
Good.
astounding. And I had seen him do the Charles Darrow solo, act.
Clarence Darrow. Yeah.
Thank you for helping me with that. I don't know all these names. Um, but it was just brilliant. He did it at the Unity thing that we were at together.
Yes, he did it that night,
And
didn't he? Right. Yeah.
it just stopped it just the house came down.
Yeah, those one-man shows that he wrote that changed
Yeah.
his life. It really took him a while to get there, to figure that out, that that was what he was going to do. And then once he found that, it was like, eureka, this is it. This is my life. And he
Yeah.
made 30 years of his life writing and performing one-man shows of great Americans. And it's quite a legacy, really. Talk about legacy. It
Yeah,
really
I
is.
wanted to do that with First Ladies. And
Yeah.
and then I saw that there was I don't know if it was a mini series or what, one of those
Oh,
limited.
yeah, there was. Yeah,
Yeah, and that was brilliant. I thought that was
it
brilliant.
was. They don't have the opportunity, first ladies, to get out there all the time, at least not in the old days,
Right.
and make speeches, that people remember and write down. And one of the good things about the presidents or Darrows or people like they were famous that a lot of what they said was, recorded
Well
or
documented.
that was documented. So it was easier to talk about them, I guess. But as far as my parents' legacy, it's not something I actively do, believe it or not. People think that's what I do for a living now, and it's not. But they exist still in the stratosphere, and people still have this enormous affection for them. And it started out really with just policing things, because once somebody
Yeah.
passes away, and if they were very popular, people want to usurp images and make things and sell things, and you can't
Take
just
advantage of it. Take
yeah,
advantage.
you can't just do that. So I had to nail that a few times. No, stop, tell those people they can't do that, and blah, 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 blah. It gets expensive, so after a while you really have to make a business out of it just so you can afford to police it. So we started, okay, well, if there's going to be merchandise, then let us control that. Let us decide what that's going to be. So in partnership with CBS or by ourselves alone, whatever, we
Aren't you
have.
up at Universal? Didn't I see something
Yes,
at
well, Universal was a different
Disney?
thing.
I can't
Yes,
remember.
Universal was a different thing. Thank God for them. My mom passed away, and as you can only imagine, there were so many things, that you just can't give away to Goodwill or trash. I gave away as much as I could to friends and longtime family members and their families and da 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 da, people who worked for them, and it was like the loaves and the fishes. It was still there. There was still tons and a big bowl of spaghetti. I just kept eating, and it was still there. And it's still there to this day. And then there's Universal, and then there's Lucie Desi Museum, and then there's
I heard about that too. That's why I wondered about.
and you just keep putting it out there, and then there's more people find this, and then I'm still going through boxes and still finding things, or still deciding what to part with. I gave
can
away almost
imagine.
everything, but it, so that's one thing. That's a whole other thing. The museums. I didn't want to just give that away, and I certainly don't want to keep it. I have no room for all this stuff. What are we going to do? And Universal, we went and talked to them because we thought maybe they heard we had a bunch of stuff we didn't know what to do with. So I had a meeting with them, and they were great. They said, what if we build a tribute to her?
Yeah.
And we put these stuff on display for a year and a half. And then you
I
can
thought that was great when I saw that.
decide what to do with it after that. And I went, oh my God, well, that's just great. So we did, and we archived it and, cataloged it. They made a beautiful, beautiful exhibit, and it lasted 19 years.
Yeah, I know. That's why I
Well,
wanted
that's not a good thing, though, because it
Why?
wasn't built like a true museum with the right air conditioning and lighting and stuff. So much of what we
Oh,
put under glass was destroyed little by little. And they made another one in,
that's terrible.
well, nobody did it on purpose. We just
Um,
didn't think. It was like stupid. They made the second one after the first year. They said, we still have a bunch of stuff left over. The loaves and the fishes. Why don't we open one of these at our park in Florida? Oh, if you think you got enough stuff, sure. He said, well, we'll get permission from the Emmys to duplicate her awards and stuff. But the rest of it we'll display, and it'll be great. So they did. And both of those places were there almost 20 years. And then when we decided that, okay, they had to move on, I said, yeah, it's about time. I think by that time we had a Lucie Desi museum and yada, yada. So we can just send it to them, or we'll see, And we started to look at the stuff, and it was either the glue they used had glued it right to the platform it was sitting on. There was no way to take it off without it being disintegrated. The clothes, the fabulous green Sally Sweet, Cuban Pete Sally Sweet outfit was completely faded and destroyed, rotted.
wow.
Um, and it's my fault, I suppose, because I trusted that all was swell, and I didn't go babysit it all the time. I didn't go through there every
I
once or
don't think
twice a
anybody
year.
really would,
Well, they were supposed to be keeping an eye on it and keeping it
professional people.
clean and all of that. But the people who do that don't have they don't have the power to say, hey, that looks like crap. You better fix that. They're just in there sweeping, right? So nobody was paying attention, and a lot of it got kind of destroyed. But we saved what we could. And it's mostly now in Jamestown, New York. And I, little by little, have gotten rid of most things, except I kept those love letters that they sent to each other back and forth during the war years before they were famous with I Love Lucy. And they're precious,
Wow.
absolutely precious, and all their own handwriting and their own stationery. And he was in the army and writing with
Is that
pencil.
going
And
to be a book?
yeah, this year, I'm putting it out. Well, it'll come out the first, like in spring. I just
Everyone will read that. You know that.
35 years I've had these letters, and I thought, just don't want to put them in this. I didn't even give them to a Library of Congress that got all the scrapbooks and everything. I thought, no, no, I want to keep these.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I'm just going to keep them. And this
Oh,
year I
that
thought,
would be
you know
so
what?
inspirational for so many
A
people.
book. Yeah. So they were digitized so that they look exactly like they look. You can make beautiful digital copies
Yes,
today.
of course.
See the
Yeah.
color of the stationery and everything. And then I will also print what is said in them in case you can't read the handwriting or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and I'm not going to, I put a forward and some historical reference in a couple of places so that you understand what they're talking about. Like, oh, what is that? Why are they mentioning that? But other than that, I stay out of it. I stay out of the room. Like
Wow.
in the beginning, they thought, oh, you can comment. And I started to do that. Oh, yeah, this was when my mother, and she always, and then I got about 9 letters in, and I went, yuck, Lucy, get out of here. This is wrong. You should not be a part of this. And I didn't. I just said, nope, we're not doing that. Just put the things out the way we were going to do, make it pretty, make it beautiful, have the historic content, have my forward, done.
I
Let
think
it
it's
let it
important for
go.
people to have the historical context, though.
Yeah, we'll put that in. The little back
What was
footnotes.
going on in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
world
kind
at
of a
that.
footnote, like they're talking. He mentions this person. That was actually the guy that gave him his first job at the Ciro's with the blah, blah, blah,
Exactly.
whatever.
See, that's
Some
fascinating.
things that make what he's saying make more sense.
Mhm.
I'm not just arbitrarily trying to find stuff to put in there just because that's, you don't want to take too much time reading that historic stuff. You want to read the juice, you know? And there,
Exactly.
it gets juicy. They were so young, so damn young, in their 20s, you know, and so mature, kind of weird mature, like nobody is today, about the way they talk to each other. You know, I love you for the rest of my life. And it's all this like old 1940s movies. And I think, you know, nobody in their 20s talks like this anymore. You know, it's so wild. They thought they were so grown up.
They don't write in
And
cursive either.
right. I know.
That
My
bothers me.
mother's handwriting is absolutely gorgeous, but huge. It takes her 9 pages to say what my father says in like a page and a half. Because she was, just writes like this, you
It's
know, like
artistic. It's
six,
artistic.
6 words, next page.
Well, at least you can see it.
Yes, you can read it a lot better. And my father's, you know, he was very young and came over here not speaking a word of English. He
Oh,
didn't go to college, barely finished high school. And when you see, yeah, there's some,
amazing. Of all
yeah,
he did
no,
so many incredible,
yeah,
like inventive,
yeah,
creative
self-educated, really.
things that
I know.
people are still using today.
Yeah. And you can tell in the letters because you think about that, the fact that he barely spoke English and his vocabulary is excellent. Sometimes spelling would be the way I would misspell Spanish words if I was trying to remember
Yeah.
how to, you know. And his he would like guess that it would, and that's sort of cute. And you go
It is. It
like in
is.
a way, like, yeah, why don't we spell it that way?
Well,
You know, you're
most words
right. It should be spelled that way.
most words in English are not spelled.
Yeah.
In Spanish, at least it sounds like it's supposed
Yeah.
to. It's spelled like it sounds most of the time. Not
Yeah, you
here.
can really hear their voices. So anyway, that's happening. And but other than that, my life is my life. I've got my work, my career, my kids, my grandkids, my husband. I try not to make this parent thing too big a deal. But it you can't kill them, as they say. It just keeps coming at me from every angle. You know, a couple of years ago, well, it started 6 or 7 years ago when, you know, they wanted to make that movie about them. And then after that started to percolate, there
The
was the
Lucy and
documentary.
Desi. There were two of them.
Being the Ricardos was the first one, the acted one where they were acting. And then there was a documentary, which was kind of another look after 25 years after the documentary that Larry and I made called
Mm,
Lucy and Desi, a home movie.
right. Love that.
Imagine Entertainment, you know, Ron Howard's company, and White Horse Pictures, who are just salt of the earth
I was reading all about that
class.
company and I was like, I'd love to work with that company. What a
You should, because it was first class from the moment we sat down to have the first meeting at the best restaurant. You know, like, wow, who found this restaurant? And these people, Nigel Sinclair and Jeannie Font Esta, she's just, they were so amazing to work with, and I trusted them so implicitly right off the,
Did Amy Poehler do it?
and Amy Poehler,
Yeah.
they hired Amy Poehler to direct.
So cool.
And then I met her, and it was just like I just turned over the entire archives to them. I held back absolutely nothing, including the love letters and everything. I said, "You here?" And they digitized everything that hadn't been digitized so far, which was great because now I have that all digitized.
Wow, that's
But
cool.
the way that they approached it and the tone, the love, the compassion that Amy showed to it and what they wanted to do, what they ended up doing was so remarkable. I was so very proud. I was as proud of that as I was of the Lucy Desi Home movie that we did and won an Emmy for 25 years before.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was time to look at it again from a, you know, have somebody else take a look at it. And I wanted to stay out of it, really. And I did until they sent me the finished product to say, is there anything in here that we got wrong? You know, did we bark up the wrong tree completely? I went, nope. There's a date wrong. Change that to something. Other than that, they were like gold. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
So those things come along every once in a while, and we do that. There's some merchandise out there. We're not working with CBS anymore with merchandise. We don't want to do that partnership. If something comes up, they can call me, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's time to like
But I run into these
again.
things especially
You
when my
can't,
children
I know.
when
They're
my kids
everywhere.
were little, we lived in Florida and New York and Connecticut and Ohio. And
Right.
so we would go with my sister's kids, and I would say, "Oh, look, that's my friend Lucy's mom. I know that stuff."
No, it's weird.
It was at Disney, and then it was at Universal, and then I drove up to Saratoga, and I found out about this Jamestown thing, and I was like, "Wow, she's freaking busy."
Well, I did a lot more with that years ago. I was on the board of directors and I was back and forth to Jamestown all the time. But little by little, you try to extricate yourself. Once you
Well,
get
of
the motor
course.
running, you're like, okay, you
Yeah,
guys good now? Bye.
yeah, because it's an extra huge extra thing for you to have to do when you already have a family and a career and a music career and an acting career and a husband and writing and
Somebody has to answer the phone, and
I know, right?
it falls to me. So there you
Yeah,
go.
of course, of course. So how are your grandchildren? Tell me about your
Oh
grandchildren.
my gosh. I have three beautiful grandchildren. The funny bit is that my daughter, Catherine, and my son Joe, her older brother, 2 years older, they both, with their partners, had a baby within a month of each other. And I didn't have grandchildren for years and years and years. Nobody was married. It was like nobody's ever going to get married.
That's
Nobody's
my
ever going to have
life. That's
children. I'm
my
going to
life.
die. I'm going to die,
With
grandchildrenless.
puppies.
And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, Kate's married, Kate's pregnant, Joe and Krista got pregnant. It was like, wow. And
That's
then boom, they had these babies. And 2 years later, Krista had another baby. So we have Jeffrey Dodge Connor, who
Oh, I
was
love
just
that.
turned Jeffrey Dodge Connor just turned 5,
Love
and
that.
Eliza Grace Luckenbill, who just turned 5, like a month later because they were both
Elijah Grace?
Eliza.
Eliza Grace. Okay.
Eliza Grace. I
I
call her
love it.
Gracie. I
That's
call her
great.
Gracie. And then she had a little brother who's 2 years younger. He just turned 3, and they named him George. And I pushed for that because, well, Larry's middle name is George, and his grandfather's name was George, and I've always loved that name. And so but I left it up to them, what to say, if you want him, and George is a good name. And they finally said, yes, we agree. We're going to name him George. And I was like, yes, because
Oh, that's so cool.
now I have George and Gracie.
I love that. I just love that. That's like a little.
I wanted George and
I'm
Gracie.
hiding this. I'm hiding this. I'm hiding this until they do it, and then I'll tell
Right.
them. Thank you for George and Gracie.
Nobody knows. I mean, they don't know what that even means. And the funny bit is that I started calling Eliza Gracie from the get-go. Hey, Gracie, come on here. Gracie. And then she said to me once, I'm not Gracie, you're Gracie. And I went, no, 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 no. No, your name is Eliza Grace and your nickname is Gracie. She said, no, you're Gracie.
How'd she get that? Where'd she get that
I don't
from?
know, but she's going to be trouble. I think she's going to be trouble.
Good.
She's already trouble.
That's good.
They're so freaking beautiful and adorable. And I was blessed because during the pandemic, Katie and her husband Jeff decided they wanted to get out of Los Angeles because it was getting crazy and riots, and they got scared.
Yeah.
So JD was a baby, and they came down here and lived with us in our house right here for months.
Oh,
And
and
then,
that was the best part. I had my kids home too from college. It was nice.
yeah,
That part was really nice.
it was
After
great.
that,
And even
everything.
after 6 months, they said, we still don't want to go back to LA, so we'll rent a house. And they rented a house right across the street practically. And
Oh,
then after that, they decided to buy their first house and watch it be built. And they're near you in Palm Desert.
oh, really?
And then just last Saturday, my son Joe and Krista and his 2 kids moved to Coachella. They're renting a house in
Oh my
Coachella
God. You
for
gotta
six
introduce
months.
me to these people. I need some
My
friends
son
down here.
Simon, who travels all over the freaking place and he calls himself a flea on a hot rock because he's never twice. He's been living here right around the corner from us in a little apartment for like the last year. And Larry's son, Ben, who lived in Jersey City with his girlfriend for 10 years, they separated and Ben moved here and he lives in North Palm Springs. So we have all but one of our 5 children
Oh,
within 20 minutes of us here
yeah, that would be
and
my
all
dream.
3 grandchildren.
That
So
would be my dream. If
it's a
that would
dream come
be,
true.
yeah,
And,
that would be for me.
I don't, and the best part is we didn't ask any of them to come. It wasn't like, please come and be with us. We're like, no, 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 you don't want to live here. It's too hot. And they moved here in the summer. How crazy is
I
that?
don't know. That is crazy. That's a
You
little
get
bit
through the
crazy.
next 2 weeks, you'll like it here.
That's right. That's right. That's true. That's true.
Anyway,
So
that part of life is really
where
good.
so your next gig is where?
54 Below in New York City.
It starts on the 16th.
It's 16th of July through the 20th of July, 5 nights. My birthday's on the 17th. I seem to always end up in
Oh,
New
that's
York
nice. You
doing
can
a
have a
show on my
party with all
birthday
these
in July.
people. Like
I
Frank
know.
Sinatra. How do all these people get in my room? You can do
Yeah.
one of
And
those.
they're actually doing a live stream that night, the second night, the
Oh,
17th, on my
great.
birthday. They're doing a live stream. It's
Oh,
54 Below.
I've
You
got
go
to
at
read that.
54below.org, I guess it is, or .com. Anyway,
Before,
54 Below. And you can buy a ticket to the live streams. And it's a good thing. In the beginning, I was like, what? You're giving your show away for, people aren't going to
I'm
come.
writing that down. I'm going to put it up. When I put this up, I'll write it
But
underneath.
it's cool because it isn't something that can be given to somebody else. Like you can't have the tape and then pass it around to 100
No,
people.
you have to buy it, and that's
You have to
yours.
buy it and you have to watch it when it's on. You can't even like watch it later.
Oh,
So
really?
it's
Oh,
very good for people who can't get out of their homes or live too far away. And I
like
think that's
me.
kind of cool. It's
Yeah, I
very
won't be
nice.
there. I
And
won't
so
be
we
there
do
then.
that. I'll be there for five nights. I come home for about a month or so, and then I have some work in Annapolis on the 27th of September.
Annapolis, Maryland?
Yeah,
On,
why?
in September, what?
It's September 27th. It's with the Annapolis Chamber Orchestra and Choral. I'm doing my show, same show that I'm doing at 54 Below
I
for one
love
night in
Annapolis.
September. It's for the gala. They're opening, pardon me, the opening of the season for
That's
their
where I'm
gala.
from, I'm from Maryland. That's where I'm
Oh
from.
my God.
Yeah, I used to go up there and look at the boys coming out of the Naval Academy
Oh,
all the
yes.
time. The whites, oh, just
Yes.
stop it,
Oh, that's great. So I'll be there on the 27th. And then October 13th, I'm in Bay Harbor, Michigan, which is as far north as you can get in this country without bumping into Canada.
Canada, yeah.
And we'll be there doing this same show one night. If you go on luciearnaz.com,
Okay.
there's a calendar. Click on Lucie's calendar and it'll tell you exactly. Because then after that is Catalina Bar
Yeah,
Jazz
out here,
Bar in
yeah,
Los Angeles for
I
two
should be
nights.
able to get here for that.
And then Palm Springs, I'll be back at the Purple Room, October 25, 6, and 7.
Now that's a smaller room.
Oh, I love playing the Purple Room. I had made a whole
Yeah.
CD from there a couple of years ago. Right after the pandemic, I was doing the I Got the Job songs for my musical past
Yeah,
show
yeah, yeah.
that I'm doing in 54. And I taped it live at the Purple Room. And
You
it's,
did?
yeah, it's available. It's out there. Lucie Live at the Purple Room.
Oh,
I
fun.
love the Purple Room. It's like our little clubhouse here. And it's
It
a
really
charming,
is. It's
and it's a
charming.
supper club, old
And
fashioned.
the food is good.
And Michael Holmes took that little room, which was getting a little long in the tooth, a little tacky and awful. Whoever owned it before just let it sort of turn into this yuck place. It was not good. And he came in there and just turned it around and made it so special. And it's packed most of the time.
Well, if
What I
anybody
love
comes
about
down
it
here,
is
they really ought to try it out. It's
they
really
really,
a
you have to
special
see if
place.
you can see some of the shows there, because what happens to a really good club like that, like when it was Feinstein's at the Regency in New York, it had such a great
Oh God,
reputation.
yeah. Couldn't even get in.
John Iachetti, who booked it, he may have been the person you were talking to when you were talking to
Probably.
the guy. But John Iachetti turned that into such a beautiful club, and that everybody that played there was so good that after a while, if you just heard that someone was playing Feinstein's at the Regency, you went to see them because you assumed they were going to be good.
Exactly.
Even if you didn't know who they were. And
Right.
that's what's happening with the Purple Room. It's like, well, if Michael Holmes is booking it, it must be good. She must be good. He must be good.
That's good. That's very
And we
good.
see a lot of fantastic talent there. And
Yeah.
as Jim Caruso would say, and other people. But
He cracks me up. That's great. Yeah, I went to see a couple people there, but I don't know their names. It was my girlfriend Margaret's best friends.
Mhm.
Gonna shoot me for not remembering their names, but
And then
they
I'll finally be back up in San Francisco, which I've been trying to get back up there since before the pandemic. And it's been so hard because I've opened and closed and opened and closed. Nico's, Feinstein's at the Nico Hotel
Oh,
in San
so there is a
Francisco.
Feinstein's up there.
There is still at the Nico, beautiful room. And that's November 1st and 2nd.
All right. Well, I'll be able to come
So
and
there
see.
you go. And after that, I don't know. Well, then I do a little date here, but it's private. I'm putting a new show together and I'm trying it out at these two venues here. And then
Awesome.
next season, there'll be a whole nother bunch of stuff, which we'll put in the calendar when it
So you're
gets.
still working with Ron.
Yeah, as often as I possibly can. There are times
Yeah.
now. He works with some other really great people, mainly Ben Jones, who, if you don't know who that is, go Google him.
Okay. Yeah.
Voice, he's so damn cute and funny. he's so witty and he writes all of his own patter and stuff, and it's real subtle stuff. You don't see it coming, and then you just go, oh, Jesus.
So he's funny. He's funny. That's
And
good.
he sings like you've never heard anybody sing.
You're kidding.
Well, he's trained opera. And Ron was like, yeah, let's not do opera, but let's use what you know how to do and sing the other stuff like they've never heard it sung. And
Wow.
that's kind of what he does. And I've got just a
Well,
huge, huge
I'll
happy
look up
crush on
where
him.
he's at because I'd like to.
Ben Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna follow me actually at Catalina Jazz.
Oh, is he? Okay,
I
cool.
mentioned it to them and they went, okay. And they gave him the next night, the 24th, and Ron will play for him too. So Ron plays for Ben and Ron plays for lots of other people that beg him to play. And if I'm lucky and if I get in there first and say, are you booked for, October
I
20th?
gotcha.
No, then he's there for me. Once in a while, I have to call up Michael Orland or Billy Stritch or somebody else.
Well, I
And that's
follow Billy Stritch. I've always followed him.
anybody who can follow you while you're singing and know when you're breathing and not expect you to do it a certain way. They're used to playing for everybody. And Billy Stritch plays, and Ted Firth too. They play at Cast Party at Birdland. So
Yeah.
they're used to having all kinds of things thrown at them,
Just in
and those
case anybody
kinds of
doesn't know at home, Cast Party is where everybody goes on Monday nights. It's on Broadway.
Monday nights at Birdland on 44th, West 44th Street in New York City.
And it's a trip. You can go
It's an
there
open night.
from every show
Open.
on Broadway.
Well, but it's not. It's open mic. So it's some people from shows on Broadway and some people who just walked in off the street and said, I
Oh,
want to
no way.
sing.
I didn't know
Oh,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's really fun because
I
you
used
get
to love seeing the people from Broadway because if you didn't
oh
have,
yeah.
I mean, you can't go see every show, but if you go if you
But
go to
they're
Broadway,
jazz singers too. They're not just Broadway performers. I mean,
right,
Holmes would show up, Marilyn May would show up,
right.
and all kinds of musicians
It's a
and then
great
when they're not
thing.
doing Cast Party, Birdland is there for the greatest shows.
Yeah,
I've done like 3 shows there already.
yeah.
I
I
opened up
miss
their
New York a
theater.
lot. I really, really miss New York a lot.
Do you?
I do a lot.
I miss those clubs, but I don't miss the city as much. It was getting too noisy and too crazy for me after the pandemic. It just started to scare me a little bit. It was
Mhm.
too many people in strange costumes that I went, I don't know what you got in there, and I'm not walking over there. You know what I mean?
Well,
That
my
kind of
daughter
thing just wasn't
Abby,
cool.
little Abby, is working at NBC.
Well, that's good.
She's 24.
It's great.
She's the global client coordinator at NBC.
They all have such great titles
I
now,
know,
don't they?
don't they? I wish they made the same.
Global client coordinator. You can't even say that fast. You have to
I
be very,
know, I know.
I am the global
Client
client
coordinator.
coordinator.
Yeah, she's the person that's in charge of everything that they need to get the shows everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah, so all the distribution and
That's a
overseas
great job.
for
Sounds like
Universal and everything,
her.
it's a little above beginning, but she really wants to get into production more than anything. And Bella
Yeah.
wants to be an actress, and so Bella's auditioning for things. Finally, they didn't see anyone in person for years, including me.
Uh-huh.
It's
Well,
been
that's
terrible.
great.
Yeah, I don't want to be on
It's
a computer.
a tough business to be in. It's good when they can do more than one thing, when
Uh-huh.
you can be an actress, but you can also do production. You can,
Mm.
because like they say, what you can't always make, you can make a killing, but you can't always make a living. I think
Yeah,
that's the truth.
yeah, that is the truth. Well, I'm very excited to see your show, and I'm excited for everybody else to see your show.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
And I'm just always thrilled to see you in person. I hope I get to see you in person.
You will. How far? I
Before
mean, I could leave here and get to your house probably in a half
I
hour.
know, I know. So we'll have to exchange information. But I just
I'm back from New York. We'll do that.
when I tell you, Larry was a treat for me, and we got such great response from his book called Affected Memories.
Effective. Yeah,
Affected
I think, well,
Memories.
this may show up backwards because
I
it's,
have it
oh,
too.
you have it. There it is. Effective memories, how chance in the theater saved my life.
Yeah.
It,
I didn't say that when I interviewed him. I should have.
it is, to put it mildly, quite a read.
It's
It's
amazing. I loved
shocking
it.
in many ways. He's so damned honest about his whole
Everything.
life
Yeah. Yeah.
and our life. And
Yeah. Were you okay with that?
yeah, yeah, because we've been together 44 years this past June. And I think there's a story in how you get that far and the things that you stumble over along the way, and his understanding of me. He's 17 years older than I am.
I know.
And he was married for 12 years in his first marriage. I was married for barely a year in my first
Mhm.
marriage. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I found him and I knew that I shouldn't let that go. I
Even though he
knew
was so much older than
the
you.
hardest thing I did.
How did you handle that?
At 29, 28, I'm on Broadway. I think I'm special, and he's not an old man. He was 45 years old. He looked really hot. He was
Yeah.
cute. It didn't seem like that big a deal.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, but my mother thought it was a big
I
deal.
bet she did, yeah.
And when I told her I was pregnant before we got married, she had the reaction that I'll never be able to write this because you can't make this happen on a page. But I remember I went upstairs with her and I knelt down in front of her and I told her that I was engaged to Larry, and she had met him and she liked him, but she knew he was 17 years older and that he had two children,
Already.
4-year-old and 11-year-old when I met him.
That's
And it was
hard. Being a stepmother is very hard.
really hard. And then I said, and I'm pregnant. And I know how much you wanted to have grandchildren. And she went, oh, 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 oh. It was like everything. It was awful, the best. Thank God. Oh my Jesus. What are you crazy?
What are you gonna do? I'm so happy, but I'm not. Oh my,
Oh,
that's
I don't know how
perfect.
to write that. So
That's
I think
perfect.
it's only going to be effective in the audiobook.
Oh, it's so good. So good.
Yeah, but all of that is a part of this crazy ass mix that we have called our marriage. And you can learn a lot from what we went through and what got us through it and how we are now, you know. And every day you gotta watch it. You gotta be careful of what you forget about and what you don't take into consideration. Relationships are rough. They're worth it,
Absolutely.
but they just like raising children. You can't look away. You got to be careful every minute. You got to be careful what you say. Children will listen.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
They do. And I watch it. I see it in my grandchildren and I think, oh God. And I try to tell your kids, well, that behavior is because did one of you possibly, act like that at one point? Yeah, sure you did, and they're just little sponges. They don't know.
No,
They
they
do what
don't.
you do.
Yeah, that's how they learn. That's how they
That's how they learn. If you're crazy and throw something against a wall, they're going to learn how to throw something against the wall when they get mad. You can't, they don't know any different. It's the same way they learned how to pick up a fork. Oh, you do it like this. Okay. So
exactly.
life is a fascinating experience, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is. I just would like my kids to be right close to me. So maybe one of these days I'll get to be as lucky as you and have them close by. Because I mean, that's my favorite thing is to spend time with them.
It happens when it's supposed to, when after many years, they feel safe enough that if they have a choice, they make a choice to be a little closer to you, possibly because you're getting older. Who knows? I come this way. Or they need childcare.
I know. Either one is all right.
Probably that.
Either one is all right.
And I keep saying to them, if you're moving here because you think that I'm going to be nanny, that it's not going to happen because my knees are not good. I can't crawl around on the floor like that anymore. No, 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 we're not. We're not. Okay. Because, I love them, but you can't throw them here for 2 days. I won't know what to do.
Yeah, my
It's not
girlfriend,
true. I would know what to do.
of course you would. My girlfriend has that right now. And her daughter's the same age as Bella, and her other daughter's a year or two older, and she's got four grandchildren now, and she's all of a sudden they're all under the age of four.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's the best age if you have the energy because they're eager to learn so many things. And everything you say and everything you do is teaching them, whether you
Absolutely.
like it or not.
Right. Whether you're trying to or not. Whether,
And so it can be a very intense time and very difficult time for parents, toddlers, terrible twos, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
You know, thank God for Super Nanny, but remember Super Nanny? Did you ever watch that show? Oh my God, if anybody's listening who has young children, unfortunately, it wasn't available when I had my kids and they were young,
I never
but
saw it.
she's an English full-fledged nanny who would be called in to take care of different children for a certain amount of time. And she was so good at it that she started her own YouTube show called Super Nanny. And
Wow.
the camera would follow her, go into these. First, the camera would go and sit with these families who had written letters saying, "We need help. Our kids are going crazy. They're off the wall. I can't control them, whatever." And you believe it. It's not fake reality TV. It's the real deal. The kids don't know how to act. They're just being kids. And there are real problems with discipline and not paying attention, not doing what you're told. Blah, blah, blah. Couldn't get them to go to sleep, can't get them to eat, can't get them to sit at the table, talking back, throwing things, whatever. She comes in and she observes a couple of days, and then she sits down and she tells them what's what and how to change it. And then she tries to help them change it. And by the time they finish the episode, it's changed.
Wow, what a great
And
show.
I'm telling you, and you can just Google it, Super Nanny. And there's so many, she's got 2 or 3 books out. The Joe,
Oh, wow.
sorry, I forgot Joe's last name, but her name is Joe. And you can
That's
just
a great idea.
chapter by what the problem is and look at it that way. Like, go through, is this a show about this, about you need to know about
That's
this?
how my mother used to use the doctor, whatever his name was.
Spock,
Yeah.
Dr. Spock, but he wasn't worth anything.
No, and then
Compared to this, his was totally useless.
Right, and what to expect.
I read all of that too, but that's good if they get sick and you want to know what kind of aspirin to give them, or
Right, right.
He was all about paddling them and spanking, and
Well, then there was the what to expect when you're expecting, what to expect the first 2 years, the 14 years, but watching
right.
something on TV is much easier.
Much easier, and you
more
like to watch
efficient.
the things that went wrong and find
Right.
out. Oh, and can I tell you, cut right to the chase? 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 times. I'll go out on a limb. 10 out of 10 times. The reason that it's happening is that the parents aren't on the same page.
Oh,
They don't know what to do. They really don't. They didn't see it in their own house, and they're like, "Oh, look." And one may be very loving and the other one is very disciplined or whatever, but they don't agree. So the kids are like
all over the place.
playing the parents off of one another
Of
all
course.
the time.
Of
And
course.
that never works. It
Wow.
never works. And if you see kids that are, out of control or really rude, people say, "That's a mean, that's an evil little child." There are no such things.
No, no.
There are no such things as evil little children. They're children who learned how to behave differently
That's
because
right.
of something they saw. And it
Whatever
doesn't
their
mean that their
environment
parents
was.
did it on purpose.
Right.
But even with my kids, and their husbands, the moms, the dads, if they're not on the same page with what we do when this happens, what we say, because if one parent is going, "If you do that again, we're not going to go outside." And she goes, "Daddy, mommy," and daddy comes in and goes, "It's okay. We'll go outside."
You're over. You're over. You've just lost all your
Done.
power.
No,
Yeah.
no, no. You got to be a team, but that's, I should be getting paid for Super Nanny. I should get a cut now of everything she sells. No, but seriously, I give this information to you freely and
Thank you very much. Thank
free
you.
of charge.
Thank you. I'll pass it on.
Very helpful.
Well, enjoy your show, and your audiences are going to love you like they always
Looking
do.
forward to it. It's good to be getting
I'm
a
so
5 run,
excited. And I can't wait to meet you and give you a big, big hug in person when
Do
I
it
see you
soon.
again. I
Do it
do.
soon.
Give Larry a hug and kiss for me. And I want to
Bill,
meet all
thanks.
these kids I haven't met.
Well,
So
that's what we'll do. We'll have a little gathering and
I'm
bring the
looking
kids
forward to it.
in one place.
Thank you so much for being so kind to come on my show.
I loved it.
And
Thanks for doing it.
And I want everybody to come and see you at 54 Below and all over the other
Below.
place. Go to luciearnaz.com
.com, July
for the
16th through
list
the 20th is 54 Below.
for the whole, all your stuff that you're going to be doing is on
Yeah.
there. Fantastic. God
Thanks,
bless you,
darling.
sweetheart.
All right. Love
Have fun. You too. Love you too. Bye.